The federal courthouse of Chicago had never felt so suffocating. Every seat was occupied, every reporter had their camera ready, and the air conditioning system struggled against the combined body heat of 300 anxious spectators. This was the kind of trial that would define careers, destroy reputations, and determine whether $600 million would stay in the right hands or vanish into corporate greed. Julian Foster sat alone at the defense table, his fingers drumming against the polished wood. At 38, he had built Foster Innovations from a garage startup into one of the most respected artificial intelligence companies in America. He had faced countless challenges, ruthless competitors, and near bankruptcy twice. But nothing had prepared him for this moment. His attorney, Graham Pierce, the man who had won 43 consecutive cases and charged $5,000 per hour, had simply vanished. The judge's patience runs thin. Judge Margaret Stone was not known for her mercy. With silver hair pulled into a tight bun and reading glasses that made her dark eyes appear even more penetrating, she had reduced seasoned lawyers to stammering apologies more times than anyone could count. She glanced at the clock mounted on the oak-paneled wall, then fixed her gaze on Julian. "Mr. Foster," her voice cut through the courtroom murmurs like a blade through silk, "this court has been waiting for 20 minutes. Where is your legal representation?" Julian stood, straightening his navy suit jacket with practiced calm. Inside, his mind raced through possibilities, backup plans, emergency contacts. "Your Honor, my attorney appears to have encountered an unforeseen situation. I'm attempting to reach him now." "Unforeseen situation?" Judge Stone repeated, her tone suggesting she had heard every excuse imaginable and believed none of them. "Mr. Foster, this is a $600 million lawsuit. The court does not operate on the schedule of absent attorneys." Across the aisle, Prosecutor Vincent Drake leaned back in his chair with the satisfaction of a chess player who had just cornered his opponent's king. Drake was everything Julian despised about the legal profession. Mid-50s, with hair dyed too black to be natural, and a smile that never reached his calculating gray eyes. He specialized in destroying entrepreneurs who dared to challenge established corporations. The unexpected arrival. "Your Honor," Drake's voice oozed false sympathy, "perhaps the defense's absence speaks louder than any testimony could. When even your own lawyer abandons you, what does that tell us about your innocence?" The gallery erupted in whispers. Reporters typed frantically on their devices. Julian felt the walls closing in. That's when the courtroom's side door burst open with such force that it slammed against the wall, causing everyone to jump. A young woman stumbled through the entrance, her arms full of manila folders and loose papers that seemed determined to escape her grasp. She wore a gray blazer that looked like it had been purchased from a discount store, a white blouse with a coffee stain near the collar, and black heels that were clearly higher than she was accustomed to wearing. "Wait, please wait," she called out, trying to navigate the center aisle while simultaneously keeping her briefcase from sliding off her shoulder and her glasses from falling off her nose. She didn't quite manage either task. The briefcase slipped, papers erupted into air like confetti at a parade nobody had asked for, and her glasses landed somewhere near the prosecutor's table. The entire courtroom watched in stunned silence as she dropped to her hands and knees, scrambling to collect documents while muttering under her breath, "This cannot be happening. Not today, not now. Please, not now." One sheet landed directly on Vincent Drake's expensive leather shoe. He picked it up between two fingers as if handling contaminated evidence, examined it, and smirked. "Your Honor, this appears to be a grocery list. Items include milk, bread, and something called cookie dough ice cream." Laughter rippled through the gallery. The young woman snatched the paper from his hand, her face flushing crimson. "That's personal property," she managed, her voice barely above a whisper. Judge Stone removed her. The 15-minute recess felt like 15 seconds. Nina excused herself and rushed to the courthouse restroom, her heart pounding so hard she could hear it in her ears. She locked herself in a stall and pulled out her phone with trembling fingers. 3 messages from the unknown number stared back at her. The first was the photo of her mother's living room in Ohio. The second was worse. It showed her younger brother, Patrick, leaving his high school. The third message contained only 4 words that made her blood turn to ice. Drop the case. Final warning. Nina's hands shook as she dialed her mother's number. It rang once, twice, 3 times. On the 4th ring, her mother answered, sounding slightly out of breath. "Nina? Sweetheart, is everything okay? You never call during work hours." "Mom," Nina struggled to keep her voice steady. "Are you home right now? Is Patrick there?" "Patrick's at school, honey. I'm at the grocery store." "Why? What's wrong? You sound strange." Relief flooded through Nina, followed immediately by confusion. If her mother wasn't home, who had taken that photo? And when? "Mom, I need you to do something for me. When you get home, check if anything looks different. Any windows unlocked, any doors that weren't closed properly. Can you do that?" "Nina, you're scaring me. What's happening?" "Just please check, okay? And call me right back. Promise me." "I promise, but Nina..." "I have to go, Mom. I love you. Please be careful." Nina ended the call before her mother could ask more questions. She splashed cold water on her face, trying to calm the panic threatening to overwhelm her. Someone was watching her family. Someone wanted her to fail. And somehow, this was all connected to Graham Pierce's disappearance. An unexpected ally. When Nina returned to the courtroom, Julian was waiting by the defense table, speaking in hushed tones with a man she didn't recognize. The stranger was in his mid-50s, with graying hair and kind brown eyes that crinkles at the corners. He wore the simple uniform of a court clerk, but there was something about the way he carried himself that suggested he was more than he appeared. "Ms. Walsh," Julian gestured to the man, "this is Thomas Reed. He's been working in this courthouse for 23 years. He says he has information about Graham Pierce." Thomas extended his hand and Nina shook it, noticing the strength in his grip. "Ms. Walsh, I've watched a lot of trials in my time here. Something about this one doesn't feel right. When I heard Mr. Pierce didn't show up, I started asking questions." "What kind of questions?" Nina asked, glancing around to make sure no one was listening. Thomas pulled a small envelope from his jacket and discreetly handed it to Nina. "Graham Pierce tried to file an emergency motion yesterday afternoon. He wanted to delay the trial by 1 week, said he had discovered new evidence that would change everything. The motion was denied within an hour. That's unusually fast, even for Judge Stone." Nina opened the envelope carefully. Inside was a photocopy of the motion. Her eyes widened as she read Graham's handwritten notes on the margins. "Evidence tampering, corporate espionage, witness intimidation." Nina looked up at Thomas. "Did he say who was behind it?" "He didn't get the chance. Right after the motion was denied, he left the courthouse. That was around 6 in the evening. Nobody's seen him since." Julian's jaw tightened. "You think someone got to him?" "I think someone made sure he couldn't be here today," Thomas said carefully. "And I think whoever it is has a lot of power. The kind of power that can make motions disappear and lawyers go silent." The trial resumes. Judge Stone's gavel brought the courtroom back to order. Nina slipped the envelope into her briefcase and took her seat, her mind racing. Vincent Drake stood with the confidence of a man who held all the cards. "Your Honor, the prosecution calls its first witness, Richard Hensley, former Chief Technology Officer of Foster Innovations." Nina felt Julian tense beside her. She leaned close and whispered, "You didn't tell me Hensley was testifying." "Because I didn't know," Julian replied, his voice tight. "Hensley resigned 6 months ago, on good terms, or so I thought." Richard Hensley walked to the witness stand with the bearing of a man who had been wronged and was finally getting his chance at justice. He was in his early 40s with sandy hair starting to gray at the temples and wire-rimmed glasses that gave him an intellectual appearance. He wore a simple gray suit and the expression of someone who had lost everything. After being sworn in, Hensley settled into the witness chair. Vincent Drake approached with practiced sympathy, the way a snake might approach a wounded bird. "Mr. Hensley, how long did you work at Foster Innovations?" 8 years, Hensley replied, his
his voice steady but tinged with bitterness. "I was there from almost the beginning. I helped Julian build the company from 15 employees to 2,000. And during that time, would you say you were close to Mr. Foster?" "I thought we were. I trusted him. I believed in his vision." Hensley's eyes found Julian across the courtroom. "That was my mistake." Nina scribbled notes on her legal pad, trying to anticipate where Drake was heading. Beside her, Julian sat rigid, his expression carefully neutral. "Mr. Hensley, can you tell the court why you resigned from Foster Innovations?" Hensley took a deep breath, and when he spoke, his voice carried the weight of genuine pain. "I discovered that Julian Foster had been stealing technology from Quantum Dynamics, our primary competitor. Not just stealing it, but systematically incorporating it into our own products and claiming it as original innovation." The courtroom erupted in whispers. Reporters typed frantically. Nina saw several jurors lean forward with renewed interest. "That's a serious accusation," Drake said, though his tone suggested he found it entirely believable. "Do you have proof?" "I do. I copied files before I left. Emails, design documents, source code, everything that shows the theft." Hensley pulled out a USB drive from his pocket and held it up. "It's all right here." Nina opened the envelope carefully. Her eyes widened as she read Graham's handwritten notes on the margins. Evidence tampering, corporate espionage, witness intimidation. Nina looked up at Thomas. "Did he say who was behind?"
Nina stared at the signature until the letters blurred together. Her mind raced through implications, connections, possibilities that seemed too dangerous to be real. Thomas Reed watched her carefully, his weathered face lined with concern. "You understand what this means," Thomas said quietly. It wasn't a question. "Judge Stone denied both motions," Nina whispered. "Both cases involved accusations of technology theft against smaller companies. Both lead attorneys encountered problems right before crucial testimony." She looked up at Thomas. "But that doesn't prove she's involved. Judges deny motions all the time." "Look at the timing," Thomas urged, pulling out a timeline he had constructed. Chen files his motion at 4 in the afternoon, denied by 6. His witness disappears that same night. Graham files his motion at 3, denied by 4:30. He vanishes by 6. Someone knew about those motions immediately and acted fast. Nina's phone buzzed. She pulled it out, half expecting another threat. Instead, it was a message from an unknown number, but this one felt different. "Miss Walsh, this is Graham Pierce. Don't trust anyone in that courthouse except Thomas Reed. I'm safe but can't reveal my location. Check the court filing system. Case number 2019-CV-8847. The answer is in the amended complaints. Delete this message immediately." Nina showed the text to Thomas. "Is this really from Graham?" Thomas nodded slowly. "That case number. It's the one Chen was handling. Graham must have been investigating the connection." Nina's fingers flew across her phone screen, accessing the court's electronic filing system. She found case 2019-CV-8847 and opened the amended complaint. At first, nothing stood out. Standard legal language, accusations of patent infringement, demands for damages. Then she reached page 17 and her breath caught. The plaintiff in Chen's case was represented by the same law firm that's representing Quantum Dynamics now, Blackstone and Associates. "Keep reading," Thomas urged. Nina scrolled through the document. The plaintiff's expert witness was... She stopped. Vincent Drake. He testified as an expert witness for the prosecution 3 years ago, before he became a prosecutor. The pieces were falling into place, creating a picture that made Nina's stomach churn. This isn't about my case specifically. This is about a pattern. Blackstone and Associates target successful tech startups, accuses them of theft, and uses someone inside the courthouse to guarantee they win. And anyone who gets too close to discovering the truth has accidents, Thomas added grimly. A dangerous alliance. Nina spent the rest of the night in the law library with Thomas, going through every case file they could find that involved Blackstone and Associates over the past 5 years. By 4 in the morning, they had identified 6 cases that followed the same pattern. All 6 had settled out of court after the defense encountered unexpected problems.
The settlements, Nina realized. The companies probably paid millions to make the cases go away, rather than risk losing everything at trial. And if they suspected foul play but couldn't prove it, speaking out would only make things worse. That's how the system protects itself, Thomas said sadly. Fear and pragmatism keep people silent. Nina's phone rang, making them both jump. It was her mother. "Nina, thank God. I've been trying to reach you for hours. There were men at the house tonight. They knocked on the door around midnight, said they were from the gas company checking for leaks. But honey, it's Sunday. The gas company doesn't make house calls on Sunday." Nina's heart raced. "Mom, are you and Patrick okay?" "We're fine. I didn't let them in. But Nina, they knew your name. They asked if you were home, said they had an urgent message for you about work. I told them you lived in Chicago now. After they left, I called the gas company, and they said they didn't send anyone." "Mom, listen to me carefully. Pack a bag for you and Patrick. Go stay with Aunt Ruth for a few days. Don't tell anyone where you're going. Can you do that?" "Nina, you're scaring me. What's happening?" "I promise I'll explain everything soon. Just please go now. I love you." After ending the call, Nina looked at Thomas with renewed determination. "We need to end this. Tomorrow. I need evidence that will expose everything in open court where they can't make it disappear." "That's suicide," Thomas said bluntly. "If Judge Stone is involved, she'll shut you down before you can present anything." "Then we go around her," Nina said, her mind working through the problem. "We need someone with the authority to investigate judicial misconduct, someone who can't be intimidated." Thomas was quiet for a moment, then his eyes widened. "Federal investigators. If we can show a pattern of corruption affecting interstate commerce, the FBI has jurisdiction. But we need something concrete, something that proves the connection between Blackstone, Drake, and Judge Stone." Nina thought back through everything they had discovered. "Wait, the motions. Both times, someone acted within hours of the motions being filed. That means someone with access to the court system was monitoring those filings in real time. The court's filing system keeps log access. Every login is recorded with a timestamp. If someone was accessing those motions immediately after they were filed, there would be a record." "Can you access those logs?" Thomas smiled for the first time that night. "I've been working in this courthouse for 23 years. I know every system, every password, every back door the IT department thinks nobody knows about. Give me 2 hours." The courtroom confrontation. The second day of trial began with unexpected news. Vincent Drake stood before Judge Stone with barely concealed frustration. "Your Honor, I've been informed that our next 3 witnesses are unavailable to testify. All 3 have cited